and then I'll ask you the first question. So this is Fawzi Issa, who is currently an electrical engineer in Paris. So Fawzi, can you give us an outline of your career and what your main motivation was to work as an electrical engineer?
So my career started 20 years back as a research engineer at the research and development of a well-known company in Europe. And since then, I had the opportunity, to take several positions. After that, I went into a nuclear power station where I dealt with training of operation staff. Then after that, I went into the management, of the same staff. And then, I had a very unique opportunity to lead the subsidiary of our French company in South Africa, in Johannesburg, during 5.5 years. And more recently, I have been given, the privilege of leading our team here in Mumbai, again on nuclear, where we are trying, to negotiate with the Indian government a project of 6 nuclear reactors. So I think in brief, this is how I spent, the last 20 years of my life.
All right. So how do you think technology will change careers in, say, the next 10 years of your field? And what new opportunities do you think will emerge?
So I think this is really, a fundamental question and absolutely relevant. When you look at today's situation, in order to fuel the economic growth, you need electrical power. This is how the manufacturing companies they will manage to produce more. If they don't have any power, it's not going to work. So in order to more generation plans, the question now that one has to ask for the future is, how can you make sure that energy will be available day and night, including, at the weekend? So are you going to use coal, nuclear, hydro, renewables? So there is, a huge diversity, that you can put into your energy mix. And when you look at today's situation, of course, we don't want, to pollute the world in which we live. And it means coal, definitely, it's already part of the past. That's number one. Then if you look at hydro, I think all the potential of the hydro projects, most of it, it's something that we have already put into operation. So there is not so much there, that we can do. But I think it's worth, to still try to find a few more projects. Then you've got nuclear. So nuclear, it's something where I spent, most of my career. So I think it is a clean form of energy. It is available anytime you need. It is cheap, when you look at the tariff of the electricity. But then with the nuclear, I think the main drawback, it's really the time that you need to make it happen, and also the cost of the investment that you need to consider beforehand, which is quite substantial. So having said that, I think nuclear can be still, an option for the future, but we really need to find a way of making the technology, cheaper, and making sure that when we implement, these huge projects, we don't face any, overruns, any overtime, because then this is how, the price at the end will shoot up. So this is, I would say, my the restrictions, that I would put on nuclear. And then, of course, you've got renewables. So renewables, you can use as much as you want, solar when, the sun shines. Same for the wind, with the wind turbines. But again, having said that, there is the question of cost of the technology. So if you look at solar, the problem is that today the batteries for energy storage, that you may use are quite, expensive. But every year the price, is going down. So it means there will be a point of time where it will become affordable and I would say cheap. But what we have to then make sure is that the quality of the supply will be good, and that the end final user can have access to it at a very good price. So I think that tomorrow, in the future, we will see the emergence of renewables more and more.
All right. So, what guidance do you have for students who are looking to pursue a career in electrical engineering or any of the specializations of the field of electricity?
I didn't have any, to be frank with you, I didn't have any clear view, of what I wanted to do when I was 17 years old. I knew, that when you look at my school results, I was quite good, in math, physics, not so good at all, in literature. So this is how I said to myself, I definitely have a kind of, scientific background. That was, I think, my first reasoning. And then after, getting into different discussions, with people having more experience than me at that time, engineering, sounded a good option because I imagined, engineering as a place where you can design, where you can, create new things. And, precisely what we were discussing before, it's at one point of time, you see, the world has some requirements that will not be the same, 10 or 20 years after that. So we are, in a world that is dynamic. So it means we have to be in a position, to find new solutions so that, they properly fit into, the new environment. And this is what, I liked very much, with engineering, because you don't just try, to copy paste, what has been done. And you just don't use only, the same technologies. There is always, some ways for improvement and new needs. And this is where, you have to really shake your brain in order, to design, some new solutions so that it can accommodate, some new requirements and some new needs. And I think this is really at the heart, of any engineer, is to make sure that nothing, is given, for granted. Everything, is evolving. So now, how can we find innovative solutions so that, the world will be in a better condition? I think that was really my main motivation.
All right. So, thank you, Fawzi. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much, Johan. All the best, and speak to you soon.
Yeah. Thank you.